Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and this is Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. An event took place in Moscow that could be considered for the award for the most theatrical self-aggrandizement of the year. Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke at a gala evening celebrating the 20th anniversary of the RT television channel at the Bolshoi Theatre. Now, before the event began, RT editor-in-chief Margarita Simonyan, together with veterans of Russia's ongoing illegal invasion of Ukraine, presented Putin with a video about the heroes of this special operation, which is a fancy way of saying cannon fodder, unfortunately. And then, of course, Putin himself made a speech. And this is where we're once again stepping into the surreal world where everything is turned upside down. A bit like Stranger Things, but without the cool lore or the special effects.
Владимир Владимирович, вы нам сказали, что будет время потом еще пообщаться чуть-чуть, да, с ребятами?
Так и сделаем. Приятно.
Да, так и сделаем. Саживайтесь, пожалуйста. Я всем невероятно благодарна, что пришли.
Дорогая Маргарита, мы все знаем, в этом коллективе точно знают все, как вам сейчас непросто и через какой период в своей жизни, в вашей семье вы сейчас проходите. Но на работе вы всегда проявляете мужество, стойкость. Уверен, что ты справишься и сейчас.
Спасибо. Я обещаю.
Твои друзья, твои коллеги, они всегда были рядом и будут рядом с тобой. За 20 лет в сфере медиа прошло много событий. Это целая эпоха. И канал Russia Today прошел путь от идеи до глобального бренда, о котором знают сегодня во всем мире. Благодарю ваш деятельный, творческий, сплоченный коллектив за высокий профессионализм, за преданность профессии и долгу, за то, что вы смело, самоотверженно и настойчиво отстаиваете правду в глобальном информационном пространстве.
Now that is really something. Boldly and persistently defending the truth in the global information space. Imagine that. Defending. Shouldn't it be distorting instead? At least he wasn't afraid to use the channel's true name, Russia Today. Over the years, they've been trying to rebrand the thing as RT so that ordinary viewers wouldn't have a clue. Which, by the way, is the real issue. Nowadays, people often don't go beyond the first impressions. Who's going to delve into the origins of some viral video they spot on TikTok? And Russia Today, pretending to be just another respectable news channel, uses the confusion to spread through the cracks. Also, Vlad says it's a global brand now, which is only partially true. Countries which know better have banned it, and other Russian propaganda outlets. Free speech notwithstanding, nobody in their right mind wants this sort of deceptive advertising on their soil, because ultimately, this is what RT is about. During the first days of Russian aggression, they were saying Russia was, and I quote, disarming Ukraine, as if it was fighting some sort of dangerous drug cartel. Over 3 years later, it is Russia which turned out to be a mafia state using violence and pressure against others, but not if you listen to RT, which replaces facts with a fictional script rubber-stamped at the Kremlin. It's a bit like watching AI slop, except it's all artificial, but not much by way of intelligence. Let's talk about the new masterpiece of Russian propaganda, how fake news attempted to undermine trust in the TCR, or Territorial Center of Recruitment and Social Support, a Ukrainian government body that's responsible for issues such as army record-keeping and mobilization campaigns. A poster recently appeared online with a photo of a smiling woman holding a box of groceries, captioned, "This is Tatiana. She is so happy because she received a large food package. To get the same, share information about draft dodgers with the TCR." And of course, some people immediately raise their eyebrows, saying, oh, so the government is now handing out rewards to snitches. But the reality turned out to be much more banal and at the same time more frightening, because the whole campaign turns out to be fake, with foreign, read Russian, fingerprints all over it. The Sumy Regional Territorial Center for Recruitment and Social Support did not conduct or announce any distribution of food packages in exchange for information about the alleged draft dodgers. The photo poster is fake. Local authorities have officially denied this information. So where does this come from? Well, it turns out that pro-Russian channels and Telegram accounts were actively disseminating this piece of information, apparently with the aim of discrediting the TCR, disrupting mobilization efforts, and undermining public confidence in military structures. Tatiana with a box is not a supermarket advertising campaign, but an attempt by the enemy to turn state institutions into a puppet theater of trust, where every post is another string of manipulation. The goal is simple: to sow doubt where unity is needed. So, to sum up, no, nobody's paying Ukrainians for ratting on their friends and neighbors. Ratting was a long-standing tradition in the Soviet Union. And now, quick pop quiz. Name a successor state to the USSR, which often upholds many such traditions. Hint: it's not Ukraine. Igor Markov, a former Odessa resident and now a full-time storyteller in the genre of Kremlin fantasy, with elements of delirium, has reappeared on Solovyov's propaganda show. This time he declared, with a serious expression, that, and I quote, "Odessa is under occupation. There is a concentration camp within a concentration camp." End of quote.
К сожалению, Одесса оказалась, да, сегодня в оккупации, жесткой, и, так сказать, ну, все там, концлагерь в концлагере. Они готовят, они, так сказать, приготовили готовят там жесткие, я так понимаю, укрепрайоны. Они понимают, что взяли Одессу, мы практически выиграли войну. Не практически, а выиграли, там уже Киев, он без Одессы западникам особо не нужен будет. Поэтому, так сказать, бойня будет за нее тяжелая. Еще, так сказать, крови они нам попьют, но результат все равно будет в нашу пользу. Тут вариантов никаких нет.
Но на самом деле Одессу брать, ну, конечно, всегда такой город сложно штурмовать, но Одессу надо окружать.
Окружать, я про это говорю. Ну, я про тактику.
Да, отрезать,
я не даю советы.
Понятно, что
я
делать.
не даю советы военным, как это технически реализовать. Я говорю, так сказать, про конечный результат, потому что, так сказать, пока она будет под их контролем, и Крым, вы правильно говорите, Крым всегда будет под угрозой, да и, так сказать, и остальные территории.
Listening to Markov is like watching a cheap drama about the suffering of the Russian world, filmed on an old video camera and financed by the Moscow budget. Who else? He paints horror stories about occupied Odessa, Westerners who don't need Kiev, and the great Russian mission. And all this with an expression on his face as if he had just discovered a new theory of the universe. Once again, like in the other examples we've been talking about today, Russia relies heavily on what's known as projection. It takes elements of its own reality, such as prison camps, and then accuses others of doing the same thing. This pattern is so common nowadays that it's actually very easy to translate Moscow's propaganda language once you get the hang of it. So, when Russia accuses Ukraine of some nefarious deeds, it usually means the Kremlin trying to deflect responsibility for their very own sins. Earlier this year, Ukraine presented a list of well-documented Russian war crimes. There is supposed to be as many as 150,000 of those. 150,000. Let that sink in. And so today's episode of Break the Fake comes to an end. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.